Down the hall and to the left.
Thanks.
Kevin McAllister's Manhattan Adventure became a holiday staple. But behind the slapstick violence and Plaza Hotel luxury lies a nightmare of child exploitation, real injuries, and secrets so disturbing they've been buried for over 3 decades. What you're about to discover will forever shatter your nostalgia for this beloved sequel.
This cat they're talking about, I wonder who could it be? 'Cause the heaviest cat.
20. Macaulay Culkin's father demanded $1 million per week, or production would stop. Kit Culkin held Home Alone, 2 hostage during pre-production by demanding Fox pay his son Macaulay $1 million per week for the 8-week shoot, threatening to pull the child star from the sequel entirely unless the studio met his astronomical financial demands that made the 10-year-old one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood. After the first Home Alone became the highest-grossing comedy in history, earning over $470 million worldwide, Fox desperately needed a sequel, but they'd paid Macaulay just $110,000 for the original film, a pittance compared to the profits he'd generated. Kit Culkin, managing his son's career with ruthless calculation, recognized his leverage. Fox couldn't make Home Alone 2 without Macaulay. The franchise was built entirely around his performance. Kit refused to negotiate, presenting a take-it-or-leave-it demand, $8 million for 8 weeks, structured as $1 million per week. Fox executives were outraged, calling the demand extortion and insane for a child actor. They considered recasting with another young actor or abandoning the sequel entirely, but marketing research showed audiences wanted specifically Macaulay, not just any kid. After weeks of standoff, Fox capitulated completely, agreeing to Kit's terms and making 10-year-old Macaulay Culkin one of the industry's highest-paid performers. The deal set dangerous precedents for child actor compensation and gave Kit Culkin enormous power that he would increasingly abuse. Cast and crew members resented Kit's constant presence on set, his demands for special treatment, and his exploitation of his son's talent for personal enrichment. The $8 million salary consumed a massive portion of the film's budget, forcing cuts in other areas and creating resentment among adult actors earning far less despite more experience.
There he is!
From Joe Pesci shooting Home Alone. Is that true?
It's on my finger. Yeah, it's actually one of the scenes. They hang me up on the closet door or something. They said, "I'm gonna bite each one of your fingers off."
19. Joe Pesci actually bit Macaulay Culkin's finger and refused to stop. Joe Pesci bit down so hard on Macaulay Culkin's finger during the scene where Harry threatens Kevin that he broke skin, drew blood, and left a permanent scar that Culkin still has 3 decades later. Yet, Pesci refused to apologize, and director Chris Columbus kept the footage despite the child being injured. The script called for Harry to grab Kevin and threaten him menacingly, with Pesci improvising the finger, biting to make the moment more frightening. During rehearsals, Pesci pantomimed the bite without actually making contact. But when cameras rolled, Pesci, known for his intense method acting, bit down on Culkin's finger with genuine force. Culkin screamed in real pain, not acting. His finger was bleeding when Pesci released it. The shock and fear on Culkin's face in the final film is completely authentic, because a grown man just injured him. Columbus yelled "cut," but Pesci remained in character, growling at Culkin and refusing to acknowledge what he'd done. Kit Culkin rushed onto set, furious and threatening to sue. A medic cleaned and bandaged Macaulay's finger, while producers negotiated damage control. Pesci's only comment was that the scene needed to feel dangerous, and now it did. He never apologized to Culkin directly. When Kit demanded the scene be reshot without the actual bite, Columbus refused, arguing that the authentic reaction was too valuable to lose. He offered to pay for any medical treatment and gave the Culkins a financial settlement to prevent a lawsuit. Macaulay Culkin has discussed the incident in later interviews, showing the small scar on his finger and describing how Pesci's method acting crossed into actual abuse, but nobody stopped it because the footage was too good to waste.
Okay, kid. Give it to me. He don't have any more bricks. He's out of it. What?
18. The brick throwing scene sent Daniel Stern to the emergency room twice. Daniel Stern suffered a fractured cheekbone, severe concussion, and permanent hearing damage in his left ear during the rooftop brick throwing sequence when safety protocols failed and real bricks struck him in the face and head, requiring 2 emergency room visits and nearly ending his participation in the film. The scene called for Kevin to throw bricks down from a rooftop, hitting Marv repeatedly as he climbs a ladder. The effects team designed lightweight foam bricks painted to look authentic, with precise choreography ensuring they had hit Stern's chest and shoulders while avoiding his head. But the setup malfunctioned during filming. The first take went perfectly with foam props. On the second take, seeking better footage, Columbus requested more realistic impacts. Someone replaced several foam bricks with real ones without properly informing Stern or the stunt coordinator. When the bricks were released, 3 genuine bricks fell directly onto Stern's upturned face. The first struck his left cheek, fracturing the bone. The second hit his forehead, causing immediate concussion symptoms. The third glanced off his ear, rupturing his eardrum. Stern collapsed off the ladder, falling 12 feet onto crash pads while bleeding profusely from facial lacerations. Filming stopped as paramedics arrived. Stern was transported to the hospital with serious injuries. His cheekbone required surgery. His hearing damage proved permanent. He still experiences tinnitus and partial deafness in that ear. Fox's insurance company investigated and found negligent safety practices. Stern returned to set 2 weeks later, wearing protective headgear hidden under his costume and refusing to do any more scenes involving falling objects. The brick. Footage showing his genuine injury appears in the final film, praised by critics for its visceral impact without anyone knowing Stern was actually hurt.
Since we're in a hurry, I'll make a deal with you. You throw down your camera, and we won't hurt you. You'll never hear from us again. Sonny!
Yes?
Nothing would thrill me more greatly than to shoot you. Knocking off a youngster ain't gonna mean all that.
17. The Plaza Hotel sued Fox for $5 million in damages. The Plaza Hotel sued 20th Century Fox for over $5 million after The Home Alone. 2 production caused extensive damage to the historic property, including destroyed carpets, broken furniture, water damage from filming bathroom flooding scenes, and permanent staining in several suites that required complete renovation. The Plaza, one of New York's most prestigious hotels, agreed to allow filming in exchange for substantial fees and promises that the production would meticulously protect the property. But the reality of filming with child actors, elaborate stunts, and messy practical effects caused far more damage than anticipated. The bathroom flooding scene, where Kevin causes an overflow catastrophe, used real water that leaked through the floors into the suite below, damaging irreplaceable antique furnishings and artwork. Paint and fake blood from the bandits' injury scenes permanently stained marble surfaces in the lobby. Heavy equipment scratched the original hardwood floors throughout multiple corridors. The pool scene required chlorine levels that damaged the pool's tile work. Most devastating was the suite where Kevin stayed after weeks of filming. The carpets were destroyed, the wallpaper was torn, and the furniture was broken or stained beyond repair. When Plaza management calculated the total damage, it far exceeded the security deposit Fox had provided. The hotel initially demanded $7 million for repairs and lost revenue from suites taken out of service for renovation. Fox countered that normal wear and tear from filming shouldn't exceed $2 million. The lawsuit dragged through courts for 3 years before settling for an undisclosed amount, reportedly around $4 million. The legal battle damaged Fox's relationship with New York landmarks, making it harder for future productions to secure prestigious locations. The Plaza's management later said they regretted allowing the filming and would never permit another movie production in the hotel.
Excuse me, where's the lobby?
Down the hall and to the left.
Thanks.
16. Donald Trump forced his cameo into the film and threatened legal action. Donald Trump, who owned the Plaza Hotel when home alone, to film there made his cameo appearance a non-negotiable condition of allowing the production to use the property, threatening to revoke location permits and sue for breach of contract if he wasn't featured prominently in the finished film. Chris Columbus never wanted Trump in the movie. The brief scene where Trump directs Kevin through the plaza lobby was entirely Trump's demand. When Fox negotiated to film at the plaza, Trump's representatives inserted contract language requiring Trump to appear in at least one scene, and that the scene couldn't be cut without his approval. Columbus was furious, arguing that inserting the building's owner into the movie broke the fourth wall and served no narrative purpose. Fox lawyers told him the scene was legally required. Trump arrived for his filming day with an entourage, demanding multiple takes and suggesting dialogue changes to give himself more screen time. Columbus shot the minimum necessary to fulfill the contract requirement. In early test screenings, audiences found Trump's appearance confusing and distracting. Columbus attempted to cut the scene entirely, but Trump's lawyers immediately threatened to sue, citing the contract. Fox was forced to keep the cameo despite Columbus's objections. Trump later bragged publicly about being in Home Alone 2 and claimed the filmmakers begged him to appear, a complete fabrication that Columbus angrily disputed years later. The cameo became controversial decades later during Trump's political career, with some calling for its removal from television broadcasts, while others defended keeping it as a historical record. The scene remains a reminder of Trump's ability to leverage business relationships for personal publicity, regardless of artistic merit.
Not here. Kevin's not here.
What?
15. Catherine O'Hara had a complete mental breakdown. During the airport scenes, Catherine O'Hara suffered a severe anxiety attack during filming of the airport panic scenes, where Kate realizes Kevin is missing again, requiring production to shut down for 3 days, while O'Hara received psychiatric treatment for a breakdown triggered by the stress of playing maternal guilt and failure repeatedly. O'Hara is a method actress who deeply immerses herself in characters' emotional states. For the airport scene where Kate discovers Kevin isn't on the plane, Columbus wanted authentic panic and despair. O'Hara delivered devastating performances, screaming and crying with genuine anguish. But after multiple takes over several days, continually accessing that level of maternal horror, O'Hara's mental state deteriorated. She couldn't separate herself from Kate's guilt and fear. Between takes, she remained agitated and distressed. On the third day of airport filming, O'Hara had a complete breakdown, sobbing uncontrollably and unable to continue. She was hyperventilating and couldn't calm down. A psychologist was called to the set. O'Hara was diagnosed with acute anxiety triggered by repeatedly accessing traumatic emotional states without proper psychological boundaries. She took 3 days off for rest and therapy, learning techniques to separate herself from the character's emotions. When she returned, Columbus modified his approach, limiting emotional takes and ensuring O'Hara had recovery time between intense scenes. The incident highlighted dangers of method acting and the psychological toll on performers asked to repeatedly access dark emotions. O'Hara later discussed how playing a mother losing her child, even fictionally, created genuine trauma that required professional help to overcome. She called it the most psychologically damaging role of her career, despite the film's lighthearted reputation.
Merry Christmas.
Kevin! Merry Christmas!
14. The Pigeon Lady's scenes were originally much darker and more disturbing. Brenda Fricker's Pigeon Lady was originally written and filmed as a genuinely disturbing homeless woman with severe mental illness, featuring scenes of her eating garbage, talking to herself in psychotic episodes, and displaying behaviors so unsettling that test audiences demanded the character be completely reshot to be softer and less realistic. Writer John Hughes based the character on actual homeless people he'd observed in Manhattan, creating a brutally honest portrayal of urban poverty and mental health collapse. The original script included the Pigeon Lady rummaging through dumpsters for food, having paranoid delusions about government surveillance, and displaying symptoms of untreated schizophrenia. Fricker performed the role with disturbing authenticity, drawing on research with actual homeless populations. When test audiences saw the footage, parents were horrified that a children's Christmas movie included such a dark, realistic depiction of homelessness and mental illness. Kids were frightened by the character. Comment cards used words like inappropriate, too real, and depressing. Fox executives panicked, realizing they had made the Pigeon Lady too authentic and disturbing. They ordered extensive reshoots to soften the character into a gentler, more sentimental version. The reshot scenes removed all references to mental illness, eliminated the garbage eating and paranoid behaviors, and made her simply a lonely woman who feeds pigeons. Fricker was disappointed by the changes, believing her original performance brought necessary attention to urban poverty. Hughes was furious that his social commentary was sanitized into harmless sentiment. The original footage was buried, with Fox destroying most copies to prevent it from ever leaking and contradicting the family-friendly version. Film historians consider The Pigeon Lady rewrites a perfect example of Hollywood's refusal to include genuine social issues in commercial entertainment.
Don't come easy to me.
13. Macaulay Culkin's siblings were banned from set after violent incidents. Macaulay Culkin's siblings were permanently banned from the Home Alone. Two set after his brother Kieran attacked a crew member during a tantrum, and his sister Quinn vandalized Macaulay's trailer, creating a toxic family environment that reflected Kit Culkin's abusive parenting and exploitation of all his children. Kit brought his entire family to the New York production, installing them in expensive hotel suites at Fox's expense. His other children, jealous of Macaulay's fame and earnings, acted out constantly. Kieran, then 10 years old, became increasingly aggressive, shoving crew members and throwing equipment. When a production assistant told him to stop running on set, Kieran punched the man in the stomach. Kit defended his son, claiming the PA had provoked him. Fox security reviewed footage showing Kieran was entirely at fault. Quinn, 13 at the time, was caught spray painting insults about Macaulay on his trailer door. When confronted, she admitted resenting that Macaulay got everything while she and her siblings were ignored. Child welfare investigators who interviewed the Culkin children found evidence of emotional abuse and unhealthy family dynamics created by Kit's exploitation of Macaulay and neglect of his other children. Fox executives banned all Culkin family members except Macaulay and his mother from the set, threatening to cancel Kit's lucrative contract if he protested. Kit was furious but complied, sending his other children back to New York while he remained to manage Macaulay. The incident exposed the dark reality behind Macaulay's success, a family torn apart by money, fame, and a father who viewed his children as business assets rather than people deserving love and stability.
Here we are, sir. Duncan's toy chest.
Merry Christmas.
12. The toy store scene. Nearly killed several children with falling merchandise. The elaborate toy store set built for Duncan's toy chest became a death trap when poorly secured shelving units collapsed during filming, burying several child extras under hundreds of pounds of toys and requiring emergency responders to dig children out of the debris pile while cameras continued rolling because Chris Columbus wanted to capture authentic chaos. The production designed Duncan's toy chest as a fantastical toy palace with towering shelves stacked impossibly high with merchandise. The set decorators prioritized visual impact over safety, securing shelving with minimal reinforcement and overloading displays with more weight than the structures could support. During a scene requiring crowds of child actors to run through the store, the floor vibrations from dozens of running children destabilized the shelving. One massive unit toppled, creating a domino effect that brought down 3 adjacent shelves. Toys, boxes, and wooden shelving crashed down on top of several children who couldn't escape in time. Kids were screaming and crying, trapped under the debris. Instead of stopping immediately, Columbus let cameras roll for several more seconds. capturing the chaos before finally yelling, "Cut." Emergency responders, thankfully stationed nearby due to the number of child actors, rushed in to extract trapped children. 5 kids were injured, mostly bruises and minor cuts, but one 7-year-old suffered a broken arm and another had a mild concussion. Fox shut down production for a week while safety investigators examined the set. They found widespread violations of safety codes, with shelving units improperly secured and weight limits exceeded by dangerous margins. The production designer was fired, and the entire toy store set was rebuilt with proper engineering. Parents of injured children sued Fox for negligence, settling out of court for undisclosed amounts.
Did you want me to put the key in the bag? Or did you just want to hang on?
11. Rob Schneider. That was fired and digitally removed from finished scenes. Rob Schneider filmed 2 weeks as Cedric the Bellhop before Chris Columbus fired him for being too annoying and unfunny, replacing him with Tim Curry and using primitive digital effects to erase Schneider from already completed scenes, making him one of the first actors ever digitally removed from a major Hollywood film. Schneider, riding Saturday Night Live fame, was originally cast as the Plaza Hotel bellhop who suspects Kevin is staying alone. His performance was broad sketch comedy, exaggerated facial expressions, catchphrases, and physical humor that overwhelmed every scene. Columbus initially encouraged Schneider's improvisations, believing bigger comedy would enhance the film. But when he reviewed dailies, Columbus realized Schneider was destroying scenes with his over-the-top mugging. Test audiences hated the character, calling him obnoxious and trying too hard. Fox executives agreed Schneider had to go. The problem was he'd already filmed multiple scenes integral to the plot. Reshooting would cost millions and require reassembling the Plaza location. Industrial Light and Magic suggested using emerging digital compositing technology to remove Schneider from wide shots and replace him with another actor digitally. It was experimental and expensive, but cheaper than reshooting. Tim Curry was hired to refilm all of Schneider's close-ups and dialogue scenes. For wide shots where Schneider appeared, ILM digitally painted him out, frame by frame, and composited in a body double. The technology was primitive by modern standards, and some shots looked slightly off. Schneider was devastated and humiliated, receiving full payment but no screen credit. He later called it the lowest point of his career and claimed Columbus had misled him about what performance style was wanted.
Come on, let's get him.
Oops.
10. The paint can. Swinging scene caused permanent brain damage. Daniel Stern suffered a traumatic brain injury during the paint can swinging sequence when one can broke free from its wire and struck him directly in the temple at full velocity, causing a skull fracture and permanent cognitive damage that affects his memory and speech to this day. The scene required paint cans to swing down and hit Marv in the face repeatedly. Stunt coordinators rigged lightweight prop cans on wires programmed to stop inches before contact, with camera angles creating the illusion of impact. But during the 10th take, seeking more dramatic footage, Chris Columbus requested the cans swing faster and closer. One wire's attachment failed during the swing, releasing a 5-pound paint can that struck Stern's left temple with devastating force. He collapsed immediately, unconscious before hitting the ground. Filming stopped as medical personnel rushed in. Stern regained consciousness in the ambulance, but couldn't remember where he was or what had happened. Hospital scans revealed a hairline skull fracture and brain swelling. Doctors kept him. For observation, concerned about permanent damage. Stern missed 3 weeks of production recovering. He's since discussed experiencing memory problems, difficulty recalling words, and cognitive issues he attributes directly to the paint can injury. Neurologists confirmed traumatic brain damage consistent with his accident.
Jeez, if you have to get to Chicago, we'll gladly drive you. It's on the way to Milwaukee.
You'd give me a ride?
Sure we will. Why not? You know, you gotta get home and see your kid.
A ride to Chicago?
Sure, you know, it's Christmas time.
Thank you.
9. John Candy died. During post-production, and the film was dedicated to him. John Candy died of a heart attack in March 1994, 16 months after filming his Home Alone 2 cameo. And his death devastated the cast so severely that Chris Columbus added a dedication card to the end credits over Fox executives' objections that it would make the comedy feel too sad. Candy's brief but memorable appearance as the polka band leader who helps Kate reach New York was filmed in just 2 days. He improvised most of his dialogue, bringing warmth and humor that elevated what could have been a throwaway scene. Cast members adored working with him, describing Candy as generous and genuinely kind. When news of his death reached the production team during post-production, Columbus was heartbroken and wanted to honor Candy's memory. He proposed dedicating the film to Candy, but Fox marketing executives argued that ending a family comedy with a death dedication would depress audiences. Columbus fought back, threatening to remove his name from the film if Fox refused. The studio relented, allowing a simple dedication card in memory of John Candy. The tribute sparked controversy, with some critics arguing it was inappropriate for a slapstick comedy, while others praised Columbus for honoring a beloved performer. Candy's cameo gained poignancy in retrospect, his final Merry Christmas to Kate becoming unexpectedly moving.
Shoot her! Shoot her! Shoot her! I'm trying to shoot her!
8. The Central Park attack scene was based on a real assault. The scene where Harry and Marv brutally attack the pigeon lady in Central Park was directly inspired by a real assault on a homeless woman that occurred during location scouting, creating controversy when victims' advocates discovered John Hughes had dramatized actual violence without permission or sensitivity. During pre-production, location scouts witnessed homeless individuals being harassed and assaulted by teenagers in Central Park. One scout documented the incident in his location report, describing how a woman feeding pigeons was pushed, kicked, and robbed by a group of young men. Hughes read this report and incorporated elements directly into his script, believing it would add realism and stakes to the bandits' villainy. When homeless advocacy groups learned that Hughes had essentially recreated a real assault for entertainment purposes, they condemned the decision as exploitative. The actual victim was never contacted or compensated. Critics argued that using real urban violence as comedy setup showed Hollywood's callous disregard for marginalized populations. Hughes defended his choice, claiming the scene ultimately showed the bandits as villains deserving punishment. But advocates countered that homeless suffering shouldn't be entertainment fodder, regardless of eventual justice. The controversy faded quickly, but represents an ethical problem. Filmmakers mining real trauma for fictional stories without considering their responsibility to actual victims.
Merry Christmas indeed.
Oh, Dad!
Kevin! You spent $967 on road service!
7. Macaulay Culkin's credit card. Shopping spree cost Fox $300,000. Macaulay Culkin's family used Fox's production credit cards to charge over $300,000 in personal expenses. Luxury clothes, jewelry, expensive dinners, and entertainment disguised as research and wardrobe testing, until studio accountants discovered the fraud and threatened criminal prosecution. Fox provided the production with corporate credit cards for legitimate expenses like costumes, props, and meals during shooting. Kit Culkin obtained several cards claiming he needed them to manage Macaulay's day-to-day needs. Instead, the family went on a months-long shopping spree. They charged designer clothes that never appeared in the film. They billed lavish meals at 4-star restaurants as script meetings, despite no producers being present. They bought expensive jewelry as costume pieces that were actually gifts. The fraud continued until a Fox accountant reviewing expenses noticed irregularities charges at stores and restaurants on days when Macaulay wasn't even working, purchases that bore no relationship to the film's needs. An internal investigation revealed the massive theft. Fox's legal department confronted Kit Culkin with evidence of fraud, threatening criminal charges. Kit claimed everything was legitimate business expenses and threatened to pull Macaulay from completing the film. Fox faced a dilemma: prosecute and lose their star mid-production, or settle quietly. They chose settlement, demanding the Culkins reimburse $100,000 and banning Kit from having production credit cards. The remaining $200,000 was written off as a business loss.
Great leader to shoot you. Knocking off a youngster ain't gonna mean all that much to me. Understand? But since we're in a hurry,
6. Chris Columbus had a nervous breakdown and was hospitalized during editing. Chris Columbus suffered a complete nervous breakdown during post-production and spent 2 weeks in a psychiatric facility being treated for exhaustion, anxiety, and what doctors diagnosed as a stress-induced psychotic episode where he became convinced the film was cursed. The Home Alone 2 production had been nightmarish injuries, lawsuits, difficult actors, studio interference, and impossible deadlines. By the time Columbus entered the editing room, he was already psychologically fragile. The editing process intensified his stress, as Fox demanded the film be ready for the holiday release despite being behind schedule. Columbus worked 20-hour days, sleeping in the editing bay, barely eating, and consuming excessive caffeine and prescription stimulants to stay awake. After 3 weeks of this schedule, he began experiencing paranoid delusions, telling colleagues that the film was evil and wanted to hurt people. He became convinced that the injuries on set were deliberate acts by some malevolent force. When his assistant found him one morning, talking to himself and rearranging footage to break the curse, she contacted his family. Columbus was admitted to a private psychiatric facility where doctors diagnosed severe exhaustion, complicated by stimulant abuse and acute stress reaction. He spent 2 weeks recovering before returning to complete the film. Fox kept his hospitalization completely secret, fearing negative publicity about their director's mental collapse. Five. The film's original ending showed Kevin staying in New York, permanently. John Hughes wrote an ending where Kevin decides to stay in New York with the pigeon lady rather than return to his family, believing he's found where he truly belongs. But Fox executives demanded the controversial finale be scrapped and replaced with a conventional family reunion that betrayed Hughes's darker vision. Hughes's original screenplay concluded with Kevin realizing his family will never truly appreciate or understand him. After his Manhattan adventure, he visits the pigeon lady one final time and tells her he wants to stay in New York. The script's final scene showed Kevin living with the pigeon lady months later, helping feed pigeons in Central Park while his family searches desperately for him. The ending suggested Kevin was better off without his neglectful family, a dark but arguably honest conclusion about dysfunctional families. Hughes believed this ending was more truthful and emotionally powerful than another cheap reunion. Fox executives were horrified when they read the script, immediately demanding changes. Test audiences who heard the ending concept reacted with confusion and anger. Parents especially hated the idea of a child choosing homelessness over family. Fox told Hughes the ending was unacceptable and potentially harmful to children who might romanticize running away. Hughes refused to rewrite it, so Fox hired another writer to create the conventional ending, where Kevin reunites with his family at Rockefeller Center. Hughes was furious and disowned the rewritten ending, later calling Home Alone 2 his least favorite of his own works because the studio destroyed his artistic vision.
The prisoners have already exchanged gifts.
We missed the presents? He made us hide out in the store so we could steal all the kiddies' charity money.
4. Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern refused to film together after a backstage brawl. Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern got into a violent fistfight backstage during the final week of production, resulting in both actors refusing to appear together in any more scenes and forcing Chris Columbus to use body doubles and editing tricks to complete sequences requiring both bandits. Tension between Pesci and Stern had been building throughout production. Pesci, a method actor with a volatile temper, resented Stern's more lighthearted approach to comedy. Stern found Pesci's intensity exhausting, and his treatment of Macaulay Culkin disturbing. During a break between setups, they argued about how to perform an upcoming scene. Pesci wanted more menace. Stern wanted broader comedy. The argument escalated until Pesci shoved Stern, calling him an amateur hack. Stern shoved back, and suddenly they were throwing punches while crew members scrambled to separate them. Both actors ended up with visible injuries. Pesci had a black eye. Stern had a split lip. Security escorted them to separate trailers. Both refused to continue working with the other. Columbus spent hours negotiating, but neither would budge. For the remaining days of filming, whenever Harry and Marv appeared together, one was actually a stand-in, filmed from behind. Close-ups were shot separately with each actor performing to empty space. The editing room stitched it all together. The actors never spoke again after production wrapped. Three, the Real Plaza Hotel guests, sued for being filmed without consent. Actual Plaza, hotel guests who were unknowingly filmed and appeared in background shots throughout Home Alone. Two organized a class action lawsuit against Fox for violating their privacy rights and using their likenesses commercially without permission or compensation. When Home Alone 2 filmed at the Plaza, the hotel remained partially open to regular guests to maintain revenue. Fox assumed that filming in public areas of an operating hotel meant they could include anyone visible in shots. They were wrong. Privacy law attorneys discovered that dozens of identifiable guests appeared in scenes walking through the lobby, eating in restaurants, entering elevators. These weren't extras. They were paying customers unaware they were being filmed for a movie. When the film was released and became a massive hit, several guests recognized themselves in background shots. Lawyers organized a class action representing over 80 individuals who appeared without consent. The lawsuit argued that Fox profited from their likenesses without permission, compensation, or release forms. Fox's legal team countered that filming in semi-public spaces didn't require individual consent, and that background appearances weren't significant enough to warrant compensation. The case dragged through courts for 5 years. Fox eventually settled, paying undisclosed amounts to class members and agreeing to blur or digitally remove identifiable guests from future home video releases. The lawsuit established important precedents about filming in semi-public spaces and respecting privacy rights.
It kind of shifted the emphasis on the teenagers, Uncle Buck, from always taking, I always took the
thing that just absolutely, when I first saw the exterior of the house, was just like going back in time, because that is...
2. John Hughes wrote the script while battling severe depression and alcoholism. John Hughes wrote Home Alone, 2's screenplay during the darkest period of his life, drinking heavily and battling severe clinical depression that made him contemplate suicide, with the script's darker themes reflecting his genuine mental health crisis that nobody addressed. After the massive success of the first Home Alone, Hughes felt enormous pressure to replicate that achievement, while simultaneously struggling with personal demons. He'd been drinking heavily for years, using alcohol to cope with the stress of constant deadlines and studio demands. By 1991, when he wrote Home Alone 2, his depression had become debilitating. He wrote the script in isolation, drinking vodka throughout the day, rarely leaving his home office. Friends who visited described him as withdrawn, angry, and occasionally suicidal. The script's darker elements, Kevin's genuine anger at his family, the more violent traps, and the bleaker portrayal of urban loneliness reflected Hughes's own psychological state. He was writing about a child who felt unwanted and unloved because Hughes himself felt those things, despite his success and wealth. Nobody at Fox knew about Hughes's condition because he delivered the script on time, and it met their commercial needs. The darkness was softened in production, but traces remain. Hughes later entered treatment for alcoholism and depression, calling the Home Alone 2 period the closest I came to not surviving. He credited his family and eventual therapy with saving his life, but regretted that his mental health crisis was hidden from everyone during production.
He deserves it too. You know, he's a man who he had 7 kids, and now he has 4 grandkids, and none of them want anything to do with him.
Wow.
And he was a bad man.
2003.
I just needed a time off. I mean, I'd worked straight from when I was 6 years old. I lost the reason why I was doing it. And so I need to get reacquainted with my family.
1. Fox knew about Kit Culkin's abuse, but did nothing to protect Macaulay. Fox executives received multiple reports from crew members, teachers, and child welfare monitors documenting Kit Culkin's emotional and physical abuse of Macaulay during production. but made the conscious decision to ignore the abuse rather than risk losing their star and jeopardizing the film's commercial success. Set teachers noticed bruises on Macaulay that he couldn't explain. Crew members heard Kit screaming at his son behind closed doors, sometimes using physical discipline. Child welfare monitors filed official reports describing concerning behavior, Kit withholding food as punishment, forcing Macaulay to work even when ill, and emotionally manipulating him with threats about the family's financial dependence on his earnings. All these reports reached Fox executives through legal and human resources channels. The studio consulted lawyers about their legal obligation to report suspected abuse. Attorneys advised that reporting could trigger investigations that would shut down production, potentially costing Fox hundreds of millions in lost revenue. Executives made the calculated decision to take no action beyond increasing supervision on set. They justified this by claiming Macaulay seemed fine while working, and that interfering with family matters wasn't their responsibility. This decision allowed Kit's abuse to continue for years until Macaulay's parents divorced, and custody battles exposed the full extent of Kit's exploitation. Adult Macaulay has since discussed the trauma of his childhood and his father's abuse, calling the experience basically slavery. Fox's knowing failure to protect him represents one of Hollywood's most shameful examples of prioritizing profit over child welfare. Those are 20 devastating secrets that expose Home Alone 2's dark underbelly. Behind Kevin's slapstick adventures lay child abuse, real injuries, mental breakdowns, and studio greed that destroyed lives. If these revelations shocked you, smash that like button and subscribe for more hidden Hollywood history. Share this with fellow 90s kids and drop your thoughts below.